Everybody, welcome back. This is Noontime Songwriter Hang, brought to you by Hope Litwin. So we're in my kitchen, and we're waiting for Connor Cook today. Connor went to the same grad school that I did. We both went to Columbia College for a master's degree in music composition for film and television, and she has a background in songwriting as well. So we both went to that program having much more background in songwriting and like kind of folk music than we did in electronic music and music production. And then, as we will probably speak about in this hang, got our booties handed to us in that master's program. That was like, I think we were delivering something like 12 minutes of music a week for a good portion of that program. That's a lot of music. That's a lot of music. Okay, lots happening too. What's up, Connor? Welcome. Lots happening in Sanctuary Studios world. So for those of you who don't know, a couple things, just like a couple housekeeping things. This is the Lunchtime Songwriters Hang that goes up until the last day of enrollment for the Songwriters Lab. If you're interested in writing and completing your own songs, I've got you. I've got a 12-week course that is doing exactly that in a beautiful, holistic way with group support. It's going to be really amazing. The link to apply is in my bio, so just go to my bio, click that link, fill out an application. It's free. We'll jump on a call. We'll see if it's the right fit for you. What's up, Mubashira? I'm happy to see you here. And so that's first piece. And then second piece is this is all under the larger umbrella of something called Sanctuary Studios. And this is a production studio and an education home that I have built over quarantine. So you'll start to see more and more of this coming out as like the next couple weeks start to unravel, because we've got a new website, we've got a new logo, we've got 2 interns that just got brought on. So there's a lot of announcements coming, but these are all courses under a larger umbrella of something that I've created called Sanctuary Studios, which is to encourage and inspire and help artists create their own music and produce their own music and have complete say over their artistic vision, and just have that guidance and that assistance and those tools to make that happen in a very safe space. Safe space is very important to me because I grew up working in studios as a young teenager that didn't feel that great. They just didn't feel that great. So this is an important thing to me to give to you. And the Songwriters Lab is underneath the umbrella of Sanctuary Studios. So those are the 2 things. Oh yeah, one more thing. Okay, and then we're gonna bring Connor on. Sorry, Connor. Hi, Anna, welcome. One more thing is today, so the last 3 months, wow, I can't finish a sentence. Okay, the last 3 months I've been doing an orchestration meetup, and this is just a free orchestration hang once a month. I personally geek out about orchestration, so it's something that I do on my own anyway, but I was like, I would really love my friends to come, or like people who are interested in arranging, and as I was teaching more courses, people were curious about arranging and orchestrating, so I have a once a month hang. You just get on the email list. There's a link in my bio for that as well. And tonight at 4 p.m. CST, we've got Doyle from Spectral Quartet. They are like the top string quartet in Chicago. They're amazing, really beautiful humans and incredible musicians. And Doyle's going to bring, he's the violist of the group, and he's going to bring some pieces to study by Miguel Zenon. I think I said his last name correctly. I've only ever read it. I've never heard it. But master musician, really incredible saxophonist, jazz player, very forward-thinking, big ideas, masterfully executed. They did a Tiny Desk concert recently that just like blew my mind. So he's bringing in those pieces that they did at the Tiny Desk concert, if you want to YouTube that. Spectral Quartet and Miguel Zenon. Tiny Desk. So if you want to be part of that, it's going to be really cool. Totally free. You just have to sign up, the link in my bio, trade your email address, and I'll give you the Zoom access code. Cool. Okay. Connor, whenever you're ready, my 5-minute spiel is over. You can request join, and then we can chat. I'm so excited to I haven't talked to you in forever and ever. By the way, this is like coffee making time, so I'm always making coffee at this time because this is the time at which that happens. What's up, Connor?
Hey.
How are you? I'm going to turn the volume up.
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Your volume, your sound is like a little bit scratchy.
Okay.
Are you in Bluetooth headphones?
Yeah.
Oh, can you
Is it
do
better if I
just,
don't have headphones?
I think so. This happens to me with Bluetooth headphones too, is like, especially the ones that are like cans. They get weird and scratchy, and I don't know why. It's a bummer because it's such a great, I think they have to be the ones that kind of like have the little headpiece thing. But whoever figures that out, I want some because wireless headphones are my jam. Connor's going to jump back in. Technical difficulty. If anyone has recommendations for great wireless headphones that also have clear microphone, please let me know in the chat because I would like to buy some of these. I'm in headphones kind of all the time. Let's see. Yay! Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know why that is. It's such a bummer, but I do love me some Bluetooth headphones.
Me too. They're so easy. Wireless. My cord right now, like my regular headphones, the cord is like all over the place.
Yeah. But welcome from LA. Are you still in LA or are you bopping around in the
I'm in
team?
right now. I'll be back in LA at some. I haven't planned exactly when yet because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm in Raleigh, where I grew up.
Oh, North Carolina. So you're taking long walks in prairie hills and meadows. I don't know. I know that it's lush.
It's really nice. I've been doing a lot of woods exploration. We have woods nearby.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's like weird and nice to be home. It's like kind of like, and also a big adjustment, but
Yeah. Do you ever take like your Zune recorder out in the woods and just like pick up sounds and stuff, nature sounds? That's what I would be doing if I were in.
I haven't done awesome idea.
Okay. I want you to live tweet your experience. No, I want to live vicariously through your woodsy dreams. Okay, one second. I'm going to grab another cup because this is something I always do. I do this situation, whatever you call this, but then it always overflows and falls on my kitchen floor every time. I don't know why I never learn. So, just anyway, extra cup.
Tight.
We're growing up. Cool. Okay, so man, I haven't talked to you in a really long time, and like it feels like I feel like it's like war buddies, like who you went to your graduate program with. You're like, I know what you went through. So like, I know. So even if I don't talk to people who are from the grad program for a long time, I still feel like I want to like salute them every time I see them. Yeah. But it seems like you've been, do you want to give people like a background on your songwriting composing life?
Yeah.
Okay.
I grew up here. I am Raleigh, North Carolina. Grew up really into film music, but just listening to it, I didn't really get into actually composing it while I was in high school. And I also grew up around Bluegrass. That's what I really love to listen to and play.
It's a little bit choppy, the audio. Can you get closer to something? I think it's like a connectivity thing.
Oh.
Let's try and see. I'll keep stopping you if I'm relentless, so. It's like in and out and choppy, which makes me think that it's like a connectivity. Is there another part of your house that has better service?
Let's take a little walk.
Adventure time.
Oh, through the cook household. It's a little dark.
Oh my god, we get a tour.
It might be upstairs, so let's check that.
I guess this is part of living in the woods, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just 6 bedrooms. Big empty house. Well, not empty. We're all my brothers.
I feel like Big Empty House is a great name for a tune, which makes me think this is like Gone Dark, but Alison Krauss on, I think it's the Forget About It album. She's got that song. It's like a killer song. It's like, I think it's called Ghost in This House. I'm just a ghost in this house. I'm all that's left of 2 hearts on fire. That one's turned out of control. Okay. Everyone go look at that album. That's phenomenal. Okay, speak now. Let's see if it.
Is it better? More
Yeah, it is
clear?
better. Yeah.
Okay.
If it gets weird, I'll just let you know because I want to hear all the words that come out of your mouth.
Way much?
More than I want to be the annoying person who's like, "What? I can't hear you." I just like I want all of the details. Cool. So okay. So background.
Background? Yeah. Grew up in North Carolina, loved film music, also loved bluegrass, Irish music. Started writing songs before I started learning how to compose. Piano was my first instrument. And then I kind of moved on to accordion and started too. So kind of folk music was like myself listening to it. And film music was always my greatest love, but I didn't explore it in depth till college.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna break your heart. You're still in and out.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
No, let's see. It says I have four.
So strange. I don't know. Maybe this is the woods. This is the life in the woods.
Maybe.
What can we do? What can we do? Well, let's do like, I'm trying to think on my feet. What does one do when the reception is bad? Charades. Mime to me your experience in music. Interpretive dance your history. Okay. Yeah. Guitar, banjo, accordion. Yeah, perfect. What else? This is fun. Dance. Oh, okay. Okay, she dances too. Okay. I feel like this is Ariel. Ariel, you've got to get your fins out in the sand or whatever that is. From the Little Mermaid. Okay. No, let's keep playing charades. This is funny. Okay, who is your favorite songwriter?
Ooh, that's a great and a hard one.
And you've got to mime it.
Okay.
Let's do one at a time.
Oh, that's so hard.
You're also allowed to change your mind. Okay, maybe let's do like top 3 influences. So mine are Joni Mitchell, Quincy Jones, and Bjork. And it's not like I write like them. It's just like can I be your child? Like,
Love that. I think my top 3.
we can't really hear you, so you've got to mime it.
Oh, I'll try moving even a little bit closer to this.
Okay.
How about now? I'm like right next to the router.
Yeah.
Is that better?
You have to stand over the router.
Standing is good. I sit at my desk all day long, so I'm
Okay.
really.
No, this is
I have a visitor.
Kitty! Welcome, Kitty.
Sorry, this is probably like your biggest cluster cuss of a one so far.
I feel like that's live entertainment, baby.
That's life in the Cook household during the pandemic.
I love it.
So let's see, top 3 influences. I love Burt Bacharach to death. I think his lyrics and
that makes so much sense for you. That is all these things are coming together now.
He really his music to me is some of the most iconic ever, and I think his songwriting is just gorgeous. I also have a really great affinity. Well, Minnie, come here. You want to be in this?
Yeah, we want to.
She's like, pay attention to me, please. Yeah, it's really hard breaking it down because I'm just like flooded with a lot of options right now.
Okay, so what's the one Burt Bacharach record that you would recommend if someone has not heard of Burt Bacharach? You're like, start here.
There's a great compilation of his like Burt Bacharach through the years, and it's pretty much all Dionne Warwick singing because they have a great relationship in terms of working together. It's on Spotify. It's like, I don't know, 20 best songs or 50, maybe more.
Go check that out. I actually found out about him because of the Grace of My Heart soundtrack, which is an incredible movie, and like kind of no one knows about it. It's very weird. It's like some cult classic. But the soundtrack, he wrote a song. They got all these amazing songwriters to write songs for that soundtrack somehow. They got Joni Mitchell to write a song for it. They got Dinosaur Jr. to write a song for it. They got Burt Bacharach to write a song for it. I mean, they got like some of the best songwriters ever to like write for this original tunes for this album. And he wrote, I think the title track, I think his is the title track, Grace of My Heart. Or no, maybe he wrote God Give Me Strength on that.
Oh, maybe. People don't really realize how many songs he's written. They don't know.
Don't you love songwriters like that or producers like that too?
Yeah.
Where people are like, I don't know. I mean, maybe everyone knows Rick Rubin now, but when people are like, who's Rick Rubin? I'm like, have you ever listened to the radio? That's Rick Rubin.
Just turn it on.
Just
I know.
turn it on. That's him.
That's kind of, to me, the appeal of songwriting is like not to be well known, but to write songs that people love and don't even know, like, who did this? Who made this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love that.
Actually, if you haven't seen Grace of My Heart, have you seen that movie?
I haven't, but maybe
You remind me a lot of the lead girl. You should watch that movie.
Yeah, I will.
That's her thing. She's like she's a songwriter in the like music studio world, and they follow her through the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. So you get all the eras of music, but it's her experience as a woman songwriter in that world. So she has to deal with all this like bullshit, you know. But she's just, it's so good, and it's played by, what's her name, Ilana. She's a really famous actress. I forgot. I'll send you or put in the notes later.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So anyway, tangent. Queen of tangents.
Love a tangent.
So you love Burt Bacharach.
I love him.
And
but I love a lot of folk songwriters as well. Like that's the hard part for me, is like narrowing it down, because I also love musicals. Like Steve Martin wrote a musical a couple years back that the lyrics are like wickedly good. Like you would never think Steve Martin could write this. He wrote it with I'm forgetting his co-writer, Edie Brickell, I think, did a lot of the lyrics as well.
Paul Simon's wife. Well,
yeah,
a perfectly amazing songwriter in her own right, but also.
Yeah, so they kind of like wrote this musical together. It's a bluegrass musical. It's set in Asheville, North Carolina. It's called Bright Star. That really influenced me, because I didn't know I was into musicals very much until I saw that one, and I ended up writing a couple musicals with Alexa, who also went to Columbia with us.
Oh, Heather McIntosh is here. Heather McIntosh in the house.
Hi, Heather.
What's up?
Good to see your little name on there.
Go look up Heather McIntosh and all of the amazing music she's made, and just be in awe. Join our fangirl club.
Join us. She loves Burt Bacharach too.
Ah,
We've talked about him before. We went to see him together. That was fun.
I love it.
Yeah,
okay.
He did a concert.
Burt Bacharach and musicals. Here's the thing about musicals. People are always like, I don't think I like musicals. I'm like, name a song. Like people who love jazz or something. I'm like, name a song. Okay, that came from a musical. Name your favorite like standard musical. Like I just think people don't know where songs come from sometimes. They're just like, I don't like musicals. I'm like, yes, you do.
I didn't think I did until I saw Bright Star, and I was like, because Steve Martin's one of my greatest heroes of all time, and when I saw that musical, I was like, whoa, I like musicals. Loud and proud. I like them.
Welcome to the dark side. Yeah, I grew up in musical theater. Well, first I started, when I was 6, I was Gretel on The Sound of Music, and that was
cool.
Kind of like the beginning of, So I have no shame around my love of musicals, any kind.
They're amazing. I mean, functionally, they're crazy and wild. The songwriting is always really good. The orchestration is all over the place. I mean, they're really cool.
Yeah, I like too, what I love about musicals, and this is what I love too about like really good songwriters, is it's direct communication, where I feel like that can get lost in some of the more like advanced orchestration work and stuff I did in school and undergrad and then graduate, where it's like, it's becomes kind of academic and intellectual. I'm like, that's fine, but ultimately for me, music is direct as you can get a communication of the truth, like from my heart to your heart. And that's like the function. So I think that's something that musicals can do really well. And I know that like a lot of people are like, they're cheesy or whatever. I'm like, no, it's like direct communication. It's like,
yes.
All of but yeah, anyway.
I agree. I was actually thinking about that today. I think orchestral music is wonderful, but there's something about lyrics that connect human to human in a different way. There's some things words combined with music can express that's really different. I don't know. There's like an extra layer with lyrics that we can team with music to make even, I don't know, it's like photography. It's like you're capturing something, this moment, and the lyrics really solidify it in a different way.
Yeah. What is that? What is that thing? Keep talking around it. You're going to get there.
I think communication and connection, like how we communicate is through words. I mean, obviously, like touch and other things too, but words are on the day-to-day how we communicate with each other and how we tell each other what we're feeling, and music can definitely do that. But lyrics are that extra layer, I think.
Do you think there are a lot of people that say that all instruments are imitating the human voice? And that, like,
I've heard that.
Do you agree?
I don't know.
Narrow or too, like, in a box with a bow on it?
Yeah. I think it's too simple of an explanation, maybe.
Yeah.
I think there's more.
So what else? You love bluegrass. Have you played in bluegrass bands? You grew up on bluegrass music, right?
Yeah, I used to play in a lot of sessions, which is when you just get together with a bunch of other bluegrass musicians and play songs.
Do you do the festival circuit?
I haven't in a while. I used to always go to Merle Fest, which is once a year in the summer, bluegrass festival. I haven't been in a while, and I used to always go to Irish music camp in the summer. So
Nice.
this Wanna Noah gathering, that's sort of how I learned how to play with others. Like I learned how to, play with others. I mean, I did choir and things growing up, but playing Irish music together is a totally different experience. It's like very cultural and
Talk more about that. You know, my dad is an Irish tenor. I mean, not the Irish tenor, but like an Irish tenor.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can look him up, Michael Litwin, on YouTube.
I definitely will.
Got some tracks. So yeah, talk more about that, like jamming and what does that look like? You show up to a session, there's a bunch of chairs in a circle.
Yeah.
Someone calls out a tune, people jump
Or
in as they choose.
People just start tunes, and if you know it, you play it. If you don't, you sit and listen. It's like a very respect-based sort of culture. You kind of have to be asked to play your first time to be invited to the session. And I didn't play a session until I'd been playing button accordion for like years. And then I went to a session in Chicago, actually. It was the first time I like played in a real session, and I waited to be invited to play. So I went for like 6 months before I actually started playing. So that was cool.
Where was that? What spot?
That was the South Side, Clancy's Pizza Pub on the south side of Chicago.
I feel like I know that place. They do open mics and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I've been there. If not, there are a few on the south side that are like Irish bars that have open mics, and then a separate place that's like a performance venue in the back and things like that. I feel like Murphy's Pub did that too, maybe. There are a couple others. Cool. Yeah. Your family plays music or no?
My dad kind of can play the piano. My mom sings in her church choir, but I'm definitely the only career musician. Although, cool fact that I learned recently.
Ancestry.
I was
just going to say that.
My grandma and her siblings were in an all-ladies bluegrass band, and I never knew that. God. I didn't know until this year, and I went, I sort of like picked up the mandolin naturally, like nobody told me to, I just loved it, and I decided to play it. And then I recently found out my grandma and her 3 sisters were in a ladies, and they were on the radio, bluegrass old time band.
Oh my God.
So cool. Never knew.
Oh my God. Everyone has to go look up their ancestral line. It's crazy. I actually recently did that myself through ancestry.com. And I thought that I mostly came from like a long line of like pretty badass women, but like the ones that I know are like, they all went to the medical field. So they were all doctors, which is amazing for like my grandma and my great grandma to be doctors in that era is pretty impressive.
Badass.
So I was like, oh, this is interesting that I love music. But then I did some research on the moms before, like the matriarchal lineage. And there's like, music teachers and like singers and violinists and all through. So I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. So I come from a long line of like healers and musicians.
Well, that's
Obviously,
you.
I do. Like, that's exactly what I do. Obviously, I do. So it makes you, in one way, you're like, oh yeah, I'm not that much of a surprise. I'm literally just a combination of my ancestral line.
Totally.
But yeah, who's Cam the Batgirl? Is that's your buddy?
That's my friend Camille. Yeah, my bestie.
What's up? Oh, bestie. Hi, bestie. So cool.
Yep.
Are you an Andrew Sisters fan?
Oh, what?
Andrew Sisters?
Andrew Sisters. I don't
Oh,
know.
that's next. You got to look that up. So they were a really amazing trio, all sisters obviously, but a lot of like a cappella vocal stuff. But they also played with a lot of big bands and things like that. Like
amazing.
Super incredible stuff.
Sounds great.
We'll have to do like a trading of playlists or something, because I feel like we know very different music, which is fun. Even though our interests are similar, I feel like our choices of specifics are different. So that would be a nice collection. Okay, so we've got Burt Bacharach. We've got, who did you say after that? Musicals, the Steve Martin musical, and then we've got like Irish music and bluegrass. Yeah. Which to you, what's the distinction?
They're pretty different. Well, the session is kind of the same. Like you get invited to play, and it's very like respectful and like welcoming. Both cultures are very welcoming. And it's all about carrying on a tradition, which I love. That's like a big part of my personality. I love remembering and like honoring things. So bluegrass and Irish music for me, that's a big part of it. And I love storytelling. So bluegrass and Irish music are both very much a story.
Are you a Cancer?
Yeah. How'd you know?
Sentimental. Sentimental. Carrying on the past, honoring tradition. Yeah. That's shit Cancers say.
I'm a double Cancer as well, which...
Oh, wow.
Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon. Got a lot of it going on.
Well, pay attention to what the moon is doing at all times, because that'll fuck you up.
Believe me, I know.
Believe me, I know.
Believe me, I know. But I think that is kind of me to bluegrass and Irish music as a young person even, is just like the tradition of it and kind of like the storytelling of like remembering these stories that are old and like maybe don't even apply anymore, but on some humanistic level they do apply. Like I love that, and I love the rich melodies of both bluegrass and Irish and the textures, and they really inform my compositional style. I usually get hired to write things that are, I don't get hired to try to mimic somebody because I can't. I don't know how to like write.
Also, it's such a weird, like, I get respect to people who can do that. I know that's a very incredible skill, but like, I don't know, like I didn't get into music to like mimic other people. Like I got into music to express myself. I'm always weirded out when people are like, well, no one really does it anymore, but I think in the beginning people are like, hey, do you want to like write this thing that sounds exactly like this other thing, but only different enough to make sure we don't get sued? I'm like, no. Like, who wants to do that? That sounds like such a bummer.
Count me out.
Yeah, count me out.
Count me out. I've never been hired to do that, thankfully. I usually get hired because people have heard either a song I've written or they've heard a score I've done and they're like, that's unique. And then I've never been hired to be like, hey, sound like John Williams, because I don't know how to do that. I only know how to sound like me from like my background of this amalgamation of folk music and musicals and classic film scores. And
this is a what do I call it? This is a selfish question. So I find a hard time, like, well, it's maybe not my job to explain to people, but kind of like when people find out you're a songwriter, they're like, oh, you're a songwriter. And then you're like, no, but I also like write music for orchestra too. And they're like, I doubt that's true. Or like if you come from the other side and you're like, they see your work as like for choral arrangements or whatever, and they're like, oh, you write for choirs. They're like, yeah, I'm a songwriter too. And they're like, sure you are. I don't know. It's like trying to...
Yeah. People want to put you in a box.
Yeah, and more in this era, I think that more people are being able to like pull from different stuff. So like this idea of like multi-passionate musician. But there's also a weird thing that like that women are composers is still a weird thing for people to wrap their head around, even if they want to, even if they are very forward thinking, and there's still like a thing that happens where they're like, sure, honey, sure, you're a composer. You're like, no, really, I have a master's degree. Like, I've written a lot of stuff. Like, sure you have, dear. All right, let's get you home.
It is very disheartening that those people exist, but I do come across them all the time. People, I think for whatever reason, it's more non-threatening for a woman to be a singer-songwriter because that's like
yeah
safe. For whatever reason, I don't understand it, but when I tell people, oh, I'm a film composer, it's definitely not received with the same kind of energy as if I'm like, yeah, I write songs and sing them. People are like, sure, that makes sense, because there's been tons of female singer-songwriters who came before us.
Which makes it really hard to market, I found. Like, I'm building my new website right now, and so I'm kind of like rebranding and trying to figure out, and I've had a hard time basically my whole life trying to explain to people like what exactly I do, because it seems so non sequitur, but
right.
Yeah, it's a weird. So do you just, is your daily routine, you just like do whatever the fuck you want to do? If you're like, today I woke up, I want to write a song, I'm going to write a song. Today I woke up, I want to write a string quartet, I'm going to write a string quartet. Or what's your daily vibe?
That sounds great. I wish that were my life. Right now I'm teaching a lot of lessons, a lot of accordion lessons and mandolin lessons.
I want to take mandolin lessons from you.
Oh, tight.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
I don't have a mandolin yet, but I will after this phone call.
It's definitely my favorite instrument to play. I love it. I live for it. It's like so freeing. But no, my normal day, I teach some lessons. I have a couple projects going on that I'm writing, or I work on songs. I'm pretty much busy all day. If I have downtime, it's usually late at night, like midnight, and I'm up late. I'm an insomniac, so I don't sleep very much or well. So typically it's like a lot of lessons. In between lessons I'm writing, before and after lessons I'm writing, and I don't have days off. But something I'm working on with my therapist is learning how to take time off to have fun and play.
Yeah, let me know when you figure out how to do that, because I would also like to know how to do that.
I will definitely share it, because it's a journey. It truly is. More than like artistic journey, way easier than learning how to take care of yourself, be nice to yourself. It's sad, right?
So interesting.
Yeah, I think artists are really, like, naturally we're very hard on ourselves, and because we have this insatiable urge to create, taking breaks doesn't really fit in very well. So
Heather says such a journey. Yes. Heather, we want to know your how you do it too. We're here throwing spaghetti at the wall, but if we could get an adult in this conversation, that would be great.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a hard learning process, I think, but I am working on it every single day. But it gets a little better each week, where I'm like, I played a video game for an hour today, and that felt joyful and great, and I'm proud of myself.
You put a sticker on your sticker chart. Sometimes I do sticker chart motivation for things that I'm like bad at doing.
Same.
Heather says we're speaking all the truth here. Excellent, as you were, ladies.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, I tend to, what I'm doing right now is I kind of like bulk things, where I have like 1 month where I just focus on like building new lessons for all my students, or like building new courses, and my mind is only on that. I have a very hard time switching brains, because I'm an all or nothing I'm very obsessive. So I just know this about myself. I'm like, I'm an obsessive personality. I'm going to go 5,000% in on anything I do. So it's either a hell yes or it's a not at all. So knowing that, I'm like, okay, this month I'm going to build this new course, and that's all I'm doing. And then next month I'm going to like have like a mini staycation where I just write, and all my time is put into writing. Because I don't know, I know people who are like, from 9 to 2 I do this, and then from 2 to 5 I do this. I'm like, I can't, if I'm in something and then someone's like, oh, well, it's time to go take a walk or something, I'm like, no. that's not happening right now. Following the muse.
Creative mode.
Yeah. But yeah, interesting. I've actually been very curious on how people are writing during quarantine. I mean, in some ways it's not that different for what we do, because we're like, well, I'm kind of alone all the time anyway writing. Like, it's a very solitary existence. But There is something that feels different. I think because, at least for me, I'm going to ask you about your experience in a second, but like the pivot that's happening about how people show up and the new world of internet marketing and like kind of what can be translated through screen and what cannot and how to show up on screen, or like, I don't know, I feel a big shift happening, and I think it's for the better. Like, for me, the quarantine has been incredible. Like, not to downplay people that have really suffered from it, but I was, first of all, a touring musician at the time of the quarantine, so it's not like it didn't affect me. Like, that job does not exist anymore. But the pivot that I made, definitely with help of my friends and like a coach that I have, and like, you know, it's not like I did it all by myself or anything, but like that pivot that I was able to make once I kind of leaned in to like, oh, okay, this is the new world we're in, then things just like exploded. And I was like, oh, so it's just approaching things differently. Like, how are people communicating? I think that's what it is. It's like watching how people are communicating differently throughout the quarantine and observing those trends, and then kind of making a decision about, well, how much energy do I have, or how do I want to show up, or how do I want to be communicating? Now that I know this is how people are doing it kind of collectively, now how do I want to place myself inside that? Because I think it's easy in the beginning to be like, I'm going to be on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and I'm going to have a series, and then I'm going to teach lessons, and I'm not like, you're going to die unless you have like 10 people working for you. But on the other side of that, it's really interesting because it's like, well, I'm going to create a very selective Patreon where like people who already love what I do can kind of get behind the scenes with me and watch me write a song from beginning to end. And like, it's just, for me, I've noticed I have to open myself up a lot more in this last year to share way more, like, not just behind the scenes, but like, I have to open my mouth more. I have to be a lot more communicative with my audience to be like, I don't know, it's like a deeper connection. Like, I feel like I'm building deeper friendships with people I've never met just from, so I don't know if that made any sense to you, but it's your turn now.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I'm basically living on a screen lately. I'm teaching lessons on a screen. When I'm writing, I'm looking at my screen. The only time away from the screen is when I'm like practicing instruments, which I do that daily, scales, everything, just writing away from
what's your daily practice routine? Let me live vicariously through your practice routine, because I'm not practicing recently.
I practice mandolin and accordion every day. I do scales, I do exercises, I do like Hanani type things, like piano exercises for those instruments. A mandolin, I do a lot of Bach to warm up because it's like technically very difficult.
Chris Thiele did it.
Yeah, that's where I got the inspiration. Although I sound nothing like him, it's good practice, and I can every day feel myself getting better. But I have this philosophy on composing that I want to be good at my instruments because my instruments are my voice in a lot of ways. I sometimes put my literal voice on film scores, and I love doing that, but it's not that common that the director wants that. Right. But my instruments are on almost everything I ever write, like accordion, mandolin, sometimes banjo, a lot of times guitar. So I have to practice them because I want to be credible. I want to like keep my chops up and still be able to play, because playing was my first love, like playing music. And
me too. And it's so interesting, like going through the MFA program that we both went through, I assumed that was everyone's experience because I have no objectivity and I'm really self-centered. So I was just like, everyone is like everyone just comes to music because they love to play instruments and sing, and that's where it all came from. And then they're like, oh shit, well I can't afford an orchestra, so I guess I'll learn how to like use VSTs so that I don't have to like spend $60,000 on one session, because who has that money?
Right.
But that's not true. There's so many people in that program who came from like, their obsession was like working with VSTs on their laptop, and they don't necessarily play an instrument. And I still don't get it because of the reasons I said before about no objectivity and self-centered. But it still kind of blows my mind, because I just think that's like obvious. Like, obviously everyone starts with an instrument, and then technology is just trying to copy. But I think that there's, like, as I learned, so I actually hired one of the kids who's in the program now, he's like my opposite brain. Like, if there were ever two people who were more opposite in the world, I would like to see them. But he's like very techy, extremely organized.
Love
His
that.
obsession is building these enormous templates, like through Vienna Ensemble, that then hook up to all these other libraries, and like everything is efficiency. Like he's the master of efficiency. So I started paying him a couple times a week to just like show me stuff. I'm like, just basically, I'm just like, how does your brain work? Like this is not intuitive to me at all. So I definitely see it's not like, oh, I'm the good side and then you're the bad side or something. It's more just like I'm so
It's all
confused.
good.
But yeah, but I'm definitely more in your camp of like when we were learning to use VSTs and stuff and like how to make them sound more real, the amount of time that goes into it, I was like, I could learn how to play this instrument in this amount of time.
For sure.
Which I would much rather do.
Yes, it's to me, nothing beats a live performance. I mean, virtual instruments are amazing and they're a great tool, but at the end of the day, to me, nothing beats the magic of a human making music on an object. It's an amazing thing. Like everyone has such a different style. That's what I appreciate most. I love having people play on my scores if I can, even if it's just one person, even if it's just me. To me, it adds a layer of like humanism, and why would we care about stories anyway? They're all about being human. It's like the human experience. Music is, and film, it's like a lot of it comes back to that, which to me is sort of the magic of it. It's like how we can connect to each other, which is what this pandemic has really brought into my brain. Is like we need to connect with others and we need to feel like part of something. And that's, to me, the best part of music.
What's your vision for that? I think that's, you like hit pay dirt there.
I don't even know how, I don't know how it will work, or
do you have like a close your eyes and have a vision thing? Like I very much have a movie brain, so I'll just like see photos or like see images and stuff when I'm trying to, because I'll hit questions like this where that I think are very important, because it's like the philosophy behind why we make music, which is very important and kind of like
totally
no one talks about in school. Which I'm like, yikes.
yeah.
um,
Definitely not.
yeah, which is sad because form follows function. So if you never talk about function, then or never talk about function in a way that's like got depth.
Really cool. Yeah.
Like, oh, well, we're trying to get from minute 1 to minute 3. It's like, okay, but like,
How do we get there?
let's go further. let's get deeper. Yeah. So you said, and this is a really cool question and thought. You said you feel like the thing that is kind of come up in your brain, or like a big realization, is the importance of connecting, or kind of like maybe how we're gonna think about connecting, or how we're gonna prioritize connection in this new world we find ourselves in, which in a lot of ways it's not so much that it's brand new, it's like that it's kind of revealing what has been going on. So like, yes, people weren't locked down in their homes, but there was a pattern of desensitization, disassociation, numbness, kind of like these things that have been building for a long time. And then I think the shutdown was like flashlight. So yeah, I think all artists in this moment kind of feel a certain amount of weight of like,
Definitely.
like this is our job, not to put it on our shoulders, but like this is the realm in which we swim all the time anyway. Or it's like, what are the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves as a community? Like, what's our communal mythology? What's our, oh, what's up? Alexa's here. You. One more MFA grad in the house. And it feels, I don't know, I'll be interested to hear what you have to say on this, but I think from my perspective, I was supposed to have written an album already, like at the top of what would have been the start of the pandemic. I was supposed to like be in it at that point, but once I kind of saw what was happening, I was like, okay, I can't just write what I was gonna write. Like things are so many things are happening right now that I feel like I have to be a person in this moment in the world, and then figure out like what actually needs to be said, instead of like, what do I just want to say? I don't know if I can explain the distinction quite, but all of a sudden I felt like more responsibility as to what was going to come out of my mouth, because I feel like the bar raised or something, or things became a lot more intense very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, it's no longer a thing of like, write your emotions, write some love songs, write some whatever. I was like, okay, let's pull back. What does the world really need to hear right now? Because I think that that is the purpose of the arts, is kind of like collectively shaping our psychology around who we are and what our values are, and
Totally.
how we're going to behave with each other, which is a very different directive than like entertain. So like entertainment, like kind of went out. I mean, maybe there are two groups, like people who want to numb out on entertainment because they're like, I just can't handle what's happening. But I think we're here right now because we're in the other camp of like, no, let's dig in. Let's figure out like, what is this new world? What are the new rules of communication? How do we, I don't know, maybe it's like more duality than has ever existed before in a way, but I definitely feel like a strong pull toward like, we are moving toward more connection. We are moving toward, and it does feel like, what are those things you plan when you're little? Like the people jump on and you spin really fast and you like barf.
I don't know what that's called, but I know what you're talking about.
And I feel like it's we're all on one of those, and it's speeding up. Yeah. And I think the direction in which it's going is like toward better communication, more responsibility, more accountability, more like ethos and honesty. But it's not that simple. I think it's like people are going to get thrown off who like can't handle it, you know, who are still trying to fight for like, oh, but I'd rather just like not see that. Like I'd rather just not have that conversation or something.
Oh, sure. The surface levelers.
Yes. Ooh, good
whole
one.
Group of them. People who don't want to see past the surface level because it's hard. Having feelings is hard. Like trying to figure things out that are unexplainable is hard. And I think music is always trying to do that. We're trying to put into words and music these things that sometimes can't be explained or they're hard to explain, and that's why we put it to music, because music adds that other element of understanding maybe. But I think going forward, people are realizing how much we need each other, how much we need connection, how much we need to share, how music is not a competition, it's a gathering. It's like us sharing in this crazy human experience.
I love, you just said this beautiful sentence. You said music is a gathering. I gotta write that shit down. Oh yeah. That's all. That's a gem from Connor Cook. My iPad died. That's fine. That happens. I'll remember. Music is a gathering. I don't have.
At least
I have a million pens in my house, but they're never by my hand when I need one. That's fine.
That's the classic story.
Marie Claire said, same. It didn't make sense to carry on with the songs I had. Yeah, so I think we're all kind of, Marie Claire is also, she's my Irish twin, number one.
Oh, cool.
We haven't even met. We just met over quarantine, like from internets. And she's also a songwriter. And yeah.
Wonderful. Welcome.
The 3-day songwriters challenge.
Oh, cool.
What other questions? But man, I love how deep this got. This is good. I appreciate this. I think a lot of artists are kind of having the same conundrum, or like, you know, so I think this is good conversation to have. And I don't know that I've actually spoken out loud with someone about this yet. It's just kind of all been in my brain. Like, sure. So much stuff comes up when you like look at an empty page, you know, when you sit down to write. It's never like, oh, I sat down to write a song and then I wrote a song. It's like, I sat down to write a song and then I saw my whole life flash before my eyes, and then I remembered everything I've ever done wrong, and then I like, you know. So yeah, so that's something. Man, what's on your mind right now? My brain just like exploded, so it's just going to take some time for the debris to fall. So I'm going to give you your turn. Tag, you're it.
I'm it. Well, thank you. This is lovely. because I've been following you online for a long time. I mean, we spoke at Columbia a little bit, but I feel like I didn't get to know you in person, more like through Instagram, which is cool. That's how I'm meeting a lot of people these days and making meaningful connections, which I love because as far as we know, nobody's had this technology before to be able to connect with people in such a way. And I'm taking full advantage of it as much as possible. But what I was going to say is like something I love about you is you are an artist, but in a way that's like you're encompassing so many different things. You're a singer, you're a songwriter, you're a composer, you do the ballet stuff, which is amazing, but you also teach, and you were talking about the healing aspect. And I think it's important for every musician to realize like we are not just a musician anymore. We're a lot of things compiled into one massive job, I guess, or like I don't even know if we could call it a job, one massive list of things that we do. So I think learning how to be adaptable is really important for us in this 2021 world, learning how to go with things, roll with things, and not be like too stalwart. Or no, wait, not stalwart. We do want to be stalwart, but we don't want to be like too stubborn and be like, well, this is how we used to do things, so that's how we're going to do them. I think we have to be open to the idea of changing our ways and not just being one thing, because I don't want to limit myself ever. Like, I don't want to say I'm only a composer, only a songwriter, because I do both. And I'm also a teacher, and I'm also a creative in that I like to make things visually. Can I call myself a filmmaker? Not really, but do I make film? Yes. So I think going forward,
I didn't know that about you. That's
yeah,
cool.
I love making film. I'm not particularly good at it, but it's like a great catharsis, and it's so different for me than music, and so I love trying it. It's definitely a trying thing. I have not mastered really anything artistically yet, but it's just like part of the ride, getting to know yourself and getting to know your own voice, which again, you're someone I think of with a really strong musical voice, which is cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I feel it took a lot of, and it still takes a lot of, I think what you were saying about like the facing yourself aspect. You said it's having emotions is hard.
It
And
is hard.
it's like, I feel like as an artist, you're alchemizing constantly. So it's not just like, you're like throwing up on a page where you're like, I have this overwhelming emotion and like, blah. It's more like, do all of this work, all of this work, all of this work, all of this work. Here's a tiny little gem from the last 10 years of my life. Okay, I was able to like crystallize
like
this jewel. Yeah.
You're the oyster and that's the pearl.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm an oyster and that's the pearl. Next time someone's like, oh, where'd that song come from? Oh God, I need a pen. I need to write this shit down. It's too good. Okay, you said music is a gathering. And then now we're talking about songs are pearls and songwriters are oysters.
We are the oyster. We're processing, like we're doing the emotional work that other people can connect to, and maybe they don't know how, but music does it. And it's like wonderful, special. I'll never lose sight of the fact that music is freaking special. There's nothing else like it.
I
feel like to explore it.
School didn't beat that out of you.
It really didn't. In fact, it made me more resilient, I think, because grad school was a very hard experience for me. I think you and I connected on that level. We had both a very tough.
It was not natural. That's not how I normally work.
Thing. It was very rigid and like stressful. Of course, I'm entirely grateful for it, and it taught me a lot, but it didn't take away from me the things that make me me. The way I work is like probably different from anybody else. And the way I see the world is different from anybody else, and that shows in music, which is same for you. The way you see the world, your paradigm is your own specific lens. Mm-hmm. But other people can connect to that because there's something in it that's universal, something in the things we make that are universal, whether it's like grief or joy or like some unexplainable, it's like photography, like capturing a moment different way. So I think that's all cool. That's all stuff that music school didn't take away from me. It made me realize like, oh, I have this perspective and it's mine. And yes, I'm learning techniques and things in this difficult MFA program, but I'm also still Connor. Still always going to be her.
I love that. Yeah, I always tell my students this happens a lot when people are first starting to write songs. They're like, I wrote this thing, but like, I don't think anyone will connect with it. And I'm like, if you connected with it, it's going to connect with people. If you're
Totally.
trying to connect with people, it won't connect with anybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, we could talk forever, clearly. So we're just going to have to do this again.
So this has been a true joy. Thank you.
Yeah, same. Thank you for sharing your brain with me. It's so funny. It's like each person I talk to, they like open up a new portal in my brain where I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I thought that. So it's fun. I'm a verbal processor, so this is basically free therapy. Awesome. Thank you.
Anytime. Yeah, I think
Tell
that's
people
really.
how they can like find your work and
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I share a lot of stuff on Instagram. I like to connect with people on Instagram, so if anyone wants to, shoot me a message. I love to chat. Obviously, I love talking about just like the greater realm of things that encompass music, not just specifically like music, but because music is much greater than that. So I love connecting in that way. And my website, Connor G. Cook Music, I'm still working on it. It's not
There's some
finished.
stuff up there though. Yeah. Awesome.
There's some stuff. It's a work in progress.
So everyone go follow Connor Cook on Instagram and hang out with her and look at her website, look at some of her past work. She's awesome. And yeah, if anyone's interested in joining the Songwriters Lab, it's going to be an amazing 12 weeks. The enrollment is open now until the 15th, so we've got about 12-ish something more days. I have no idea what day it is. There's some time, but not a whole lot of time. So if you click the link in my bio, then you can apply. It's free to apply. We'll hop on a call, and it's going to be awesome. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Connor, for sharing your beautiful brain pearls from your beautiful brain oyster.
Thank you so much. This has been great. And thank you to everyone who showed up. I saw a lot of familiar names and a lot of new names, and I appreciate you listening to the ramblings.
Awesome. Love it. Okay, we'll talk soon for sure.
Sounds great.
Have a good day, Connor.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.